questions too. There's usually some good ones.
Oh, for sure.
Welcome to the acclaimed podcast, The Deep Dive, featuring your esteemed hosts, Andy Monitor and Drew Dinzik, powered by BETSPERTS.
Welcome to The Deep Dive. Long time coming, long time friend of the pod, gambling Twitter OG, Kaleb Gering, joins us today to break down some more details of this Euros. Now that we've gotten to see these teams all play a game, a couple of them play 2 games, we have a little bit better idea of how the seeding is going to shake out, what the knockout might look like. And it's going to be a pretty incredible next couple of weeks here as we get to the business end of this tournament. And I'm excited to talk some soccer because I've been loving this so far. I'm having some success. Kaleb, I know you're having success. Andy, I know you're having success. This is going to be a super fun podcast. We'll start kind of, first of all, welcome back to the Deep Dive, noted gambling Twitter personality, and now doing some video content as well. Welcome back to the Deep Dive, Mr. Kaleb Gering.
Hey, I appreciate you guys having me on as always. Yeah, this is the first time that I'm doing this live on video with you guys. I'm pretty excited. It's like you said, a long time coming.
Nice.
You were probably just as disappointed as us. I mean, big picture, I'm glad we're all safe and we made it through the pandemic and whatnot. But like that was a shitty after effect of it. We didn't have the Olympics, we didn't have Euros last year. Like we sat there. We actually, Drew and I had a long conversation in the DMs one day, like getting our early thoughts about the Euros out in like March, and we were like prepping for it already. And I'm guessing you were too. So I mean, a lot has changed between last year and now. And how did your prep go? How are you doing? Did you fire on a lot of futures? I kind of took it easier on futures than I thought I would. A lot of mine are just some mispriced stuff with some combinations of things. And obviously, like Drew, we do we do the group winner parlays and the last place parlays and a few like that. But yeah, not only like how did your prep go, how are you doing, but how is this tournament? Has it lived up to the expectations so far? I think so. I'm having fun.
Yeah, I mean, as far as prepping goes, I didn't really do much as far like when everything started. I think it was a good break for everybody, but it's great to get everything back going again, getting fans back in the stadium. That's what I missed the most. I mean, even when we were still playing matches, nobody was allowed into the stadiums, and it's just a completely different atmosphere. I mean, soccer, football, whichever one you classify as, I mean, the fans make the game 100%. It's just not the same feeling. So for futures, I think I made maybe 4, but yeah, I definitely toned it down a little bit, just not knowing how tired legs would be, as we've seen, the season kind of run into this a little closer than it usually would.
That makes sense. Now, you think, there's obviously 2 very clear parts to an international tournament like this. We have the group stages and then the knockout round. And anytime you're betting into the futures market, you are making some assumptions about what the knockout stages will look like. All of that is a very dynamic system. But nobody really kind of pays attention to sort of the various sub stages of the group round, I would say. I think of like the first game, everybody, all these teams, some of them have not had like full competitive matches before with all of their starting 11. Like there's like the manager's still kind of putting pieces together. You're seeing like some surprise lineups, and here, even at the group stage of a major tournament like this, there's still some uncertainty about who's going to even be trotted out there. And so match 1 for all these teams feels a little bit like teams are figuring each other out. There's some strange results. Credit to you, hat tip to you. You've been able to navigate the uncertainty and find some winners regardless. But has that been sort of the overwhelming theme you've seen so far from the round 1 matches? And I guess as we go and transition into round 2, does it become more of like, okay, my prior for these team was they were going to be a little bit of more on the defensive side. And yes, so a team like Slovakia got 2 goals against Poland, but like, can they really score?
Sure.
There's some questions I have, like some general thoughts I had about specific teams that were challenged in round 1 that I just kind of want to throw out and say, no, they are who we think they are.
It's only been 90 minutes. Yeah, let's not overreact.
I guess
it's like week one NFL overreacting. Yeah.
Right. Yeah, and going back, what we just talked about, it has. I mean, we've seen a certain amount of injuries increase as well because guys just haven't had a break. So I think that's a little bit of the reason why we're seeing some of these lineups. I mean, you look at a team like England, Jordan Henderson's been banged up. I mean, Trent Alexander-Arnold just got injured, and we don't know the specifics and how all this fatigue from previous matches and not getting certain breaks has impacted these teams. So it just goes into that category that we were talking about, the level of uncertainty that we've had. But the tournament has lived up to expectations so far. I think you've definitely seen some teams that have taken care of business like we've, kind of expected them to. But we've also seen some shocking results. I mean, Denmark losing to Finland at home, mind you. And this is also the first tournament in which there are different sites for games. So there are certain teams that are getting this home field advantage, if you will, and not having to travel as much. So it's interesting. But my thing to take away from this tournament, and I say it every single time that we get into a group stage kind of tournament, is it's always situational. You need to set every group in particular order and then go by, okay, yes, if these two teams played each other for one game, winner takes all, it would play out completely different than, hey, we're playing each other now. This is what we need. And would our next game be easier or harder? It dictates everything. So this tournament is 100% situational. It's not necessarily, this team's the best because they just look the best. They can change up their style based on what they need going forward.
Yeah, and just like in tournaments, whether it's club or international play, where you have, 2-leg ties where they need to play each other home and away to advance, like the situation change. Even in the situations are so different. People who don't bet a lot of soccer don't realize, hey, why is this really good team not favored by much? It's like it's because they're up 4 goals on aggregate already. And just like Kaleb said, once we get to knockout rounds, things are completely different. Especially how teams will approach a second half. Because we're not going to have we won't have you have a draw, I guess, on the 3-way betting, but they will obviously play extra time and penalties in the advancement rounds. I guess the travel thing that Drew brought up was the biggest thing to me, but it was something we talked about before the tournament. Everybody knew about it. We knew teams were going to be flying from Copenhagen to Russia and from, Baku to wherever, and Budapest over. And by the way, I'm going to take a little side trip here. It sucks that Hungary isn't really good, but boy, was that fun having a full stadium. Like they were lit. Like even before the match started, we've seen some scenes from Budapest. It was a hopping there in Hungary. So I love seeing that. Hopefully we get more of that here as we get into the next season of club play. But like I said, the travel stuff was something we knew about. It was something we planned for when we put our handicaps together. Some of the things I've seen people bringing up as the tournament started was right off the bat, and the announcer said it, like there was a handball, and they said, hey, they're going to take it easy on that this round or this tournament. They said they're going to be a lot lighter on his arm was in a natural position. It flopped and all this, so these are the things you need to be adjusting for on the fly a little bit. I think the refs were a lot easier with yellow cards for the most part outside of, the one match today had 5. The one match, talk about a bad beat or a good beat. In the one where it was 3.5 total cards and there was none through 90 minutes. And then there was
the Turkey Wales fight at the
end.
Wales,
the 4 in the final minute.
It was. They were all at like 90 plus 2, and the total was 3.5. And they gave 4 cards in the 90 plus 2. So other than that, it's been a little lighter on cards. They've been a little, maybe different with VAR on some of the stuff. And then also just the adjustments you need to make on some of these teams. Off the air, we were talking about, Turkey. A lot of people who did previews said Turkey's a sleeper. And, obviously their striker is a little older, but he's great. And just it doesn't look like they're great. I have some Switzerland under 3.5 points that I'm going to have to find a way to bet out of.
No, it's not crazy though.
They
got to fly
Turkey
back to
draw.
Baku.
I know Turkey's so bad. Like I might, if Turkey goes up, I'm buying out of that somehow, I suppose.
Yeah.
Either way, yeah. I mean, what adjustments have you made on the fly? Those are the big ones that I've noticed people really hammering on lately.
Yeah, so Turkey's interesting to me because I can see why they would be a dark horse for a lot of people because they do have talent. All around the ball, Soyuncu in the back. Burak Yilmaz is a striker you're talking about from Lille. Just had an amazing season, beating out PSG in Ligue 1 for the title. They Çalhanoğlu as well. They have so many good pieces, but for whatever reason, they just play down to their opponents. Which going into that Switzerland game, it kind of makes me think like I still don't know which Turkey I'm getting because it's the same one that could lose to Wales. But the same one that could beat Switzerland and wouldn't completely surprise me. So there are some teams like that they switch off and on. I'd probably stay away from that one just because I don't know how interested Turkey are, and Switzerland have still everything to play for. But yeah, those are kind of the adjustments I make going forward is, if there's ever a question on what the team's going for, if they have nothing to play for, I usually just stay away because now I'm not really playing any edge or any angle. I'm just completely guessing.
The third matches of the group play, they're played concurrently, right? Like or simultaneously, rather.
Yeah.
Yes.
A's at the same
both
time.
Both A matches, both B. Okay,
yeah.
It sucks for a viewing standpoint, but yeah, I get why they do it.
Yeah, it's like the week 17 NFL schedule, which will now be week 18 NFL schedule, where they time it exactly right. Okay,
so man, we have to do 2 more deep dives this year. I didn't think of that. I need to renegotiate our contract.
Yeah, seriously,
it's almost that time, fellas. Hey.
Thanks, Roger.
And we have extra playoff games now. All kinds of difficult.
More money for the NFL.
Yeah.
Gotta love it.
All right. Well, we I guess among the impressive. Obviously, France is as good as advertised in every which way. And even better if you're a France backer. They didn't give you their best in match 1, but they still got the win, which is kind of ideal. You don't want to be peaking too early, like maybe Italy might be peaking to it, but that also could be related to opponent. But we'll get to that in a minute. But France has looked as good as advertised. A lot of people were high on Belgium, but worried about their age. They look fine. They look good. And similarly, Italy came in as a dark horse. Now a 2-3-0 wins behind, in their pocket, even though they had never won a match by 3 in like the last 50 Euros or something insane like that. Like it just years and years of futility winning, with margin. And now they've won 2 Euro matches in a row, 3-0. They look like true contenders. Spain kind of disappointed, coming away with that draw against Sweden. England wins, but wasn't super impressive.
Conservative lineup.
It was a very defensive lineup.
Is that in the same category as France, though, where it's just like, that's fine. Yeah, they got it done.
You got 3 points.
Yeah, you get 3 points. It didn't have to be pretty. They have time to kind of find their form, figure out the right way to play things. Although I still have questions about if Southgate's a guy that can figure anything out, but we'll see.
Yeah.
I guess, am I missing anything among the contenders that has really stood out to you so far? I guess I didn't mention Portugal. Portugal with a good second half against Hungary, but it's Hungary.
Yeah. For the Euros, at least, I kind of look at the first. I'm not going to take a team based off of, hey, what did they look like the first game? Because, for instance, even though Turkey had a terrible game against Italy in the first one, I just kind of thought to myself, game of the Euros on those going to be setting the standard for the rest of the tournament. And for me, I can't judge one team off of one performance, off their best performance, just like I couldn't with their worst. At this stage, you just take the wins no matter what. And for England, France went into Munich and beats Germany. That's your depending on who you ask, second hardest opponent in that entire group, you're taking it. You're not apologizing for looking bad. You know, the only goal that goes in the back of the net is from Matt Hummels, and you're like, hey, you know, thank you very much. And the same thing with have looked great, but you have to realize how hard it is to break down a team when they're sitting numbers behind the ball constantly. And, you know, we saw what Portugal brings to the table. Once that opens up, they get the 3 points. So until you actually have to play for goal differential, there's no reason to apologize for taking a 1-0 win.
Yeah, I mean, especially in groups when you're – I mean, France is a little different with a tough group, but like England, it's just all right, you know, like 5 points.
No, a lot of people thought Croatia could have been a potential upset for sure.
But still, like 5 points wins your group. You move on, you get into the knockouts. You know, it's coming home. It's all that, so they can get all excited. But yeah, it is kind of. It's like we preach in football too, and I already brought this up. Like the week 2 overreaction betting you get from NFL bettors, like it kind of feels like that. You see this one match. And honestly, that's why I bet Turkey today. I took them at a pick. I wasn't impressed with Wales. I wasn't impressed with Turkey, but I said, you know, this team can play better. I mean, they didn't. They just looked like absolute horseshit. It was never in doubt there. At least Italy was good and got me a win. But, I mean, there are a couple teams where it's just, all right, how do we feel after one? And this is going to be the rest of the week here. We are going to have to make some judgments, especially people who have vowed to bet every single match of the entire tournament like myself. Like I don't have a choice at this point. I can't pick and choose.
Andy, I'm going to need you to break down North Macedonia. What did you see in their first match that tells you anything about them in the match?
Please, yes,
that's good. Good kits. I mean,
they beat amazing.
They have the same goal differential with Germany as France does right now, as far as last match played against them. Good kits. It's a country I didn't know existed. I thought it was just Macedonia. I thought I had a pretty good grip on the Balkans.
It's former Yugoslavia. What's the abbreviation? The FYU for FY
former Yugoslavia Republic.
Yes, yeah. It's a funny ass acronym. But either way, let's talk a little bit about some round 2 matches, since Andy's going to have to make bets on some of these because he said he would. And we all appreciate.
Hey, by the way, I commend you for doing that. I mean, if you want to do it for fun, just to see where you can go, why not do it? You know, I mean, sometimes betting's not that, you know, serious. Just have a good time.
Actually, let me ask you, Kaleb, what's been your biggest no doubter so far among all of the match by match picks you've done?
The first one, Belgium. 100%. Yeah, because people were overlooking this Russian team completely. Oh, they're at home. You know, they bring a couple midfield problems. But even without KDB, I mean, yeah, Belgium's team total over 1.5. I had Lukaku to score. Hit those within like 34 minutes. And I just went, okay, so how good is this Russian team now? I mean, but yeah, I would say Russia was definitely my
Andy, what was your biggest no doubter so far?
It was that one, and that's because it was like, if we're doing in hindsight, for sure, Belgium team total over the first one. It was like, oh well, there it is. Plus, I do have I'm not taking it terribly seriously. You know, I'm not putting very much money on these bets because I don't really know what I'm doing. But I did play a few futures for some reasonable amounts, and I bet some few futures for some very small amounts, and one of them was Lukaku to lead the goal scoring, and France to win, a combination bet. And
nice.
Not like 5 guys have 2 goals, but I mean a few of them aren't going to be around. So I'm tied to Belgium to continue to be successful in their group and then advance. I need them probably in the quarters or later. So I was happy with I'm probably going to make a similar bet tomorrow. I think Belgium plays tomorrow, and then I
really hope they win with margin.
Yeah. I think a team total bet maybe tomorrow is something I'm probably going to grab. Like, I feel bad betting. You got to separate that. I feel bad about Denmark's situation, but even fully healthy, I think Belgium matches up pretty well. And somebody did mention that to me when I just tweeted out my plays because it was a weekend. I didn't have a show that day. And somebody said, are you worried about the midfield of Belgium being out? And like, well, yeah, that sucks. KDB's world class, but like, if that's how they're going to look with midfielders missing and Axel Witsel him as well. Like if they're gonna miss a couple players and still look that good, like yeah, I'll bet them against Denmark. I don't care.
Yeah,
they could be a threat later on in the tournament once they get healthy.
In the last calendar year, Belgium has faced Denmark twice. They won 2-0 and 4-2.
Yeah,
So,
but again, going back to our
goals.
situational talk, Denmark and Belgium are playing each other during a time where Belgium really doesn't need any points now because Denmark didn't do their job against Finland. So even if Belgium gets a point out of this group, they get Finland in the last game, they could easily just sit on a point here. Whereas, Denmark are going to be chasing, I think, a little more because, or they could just take the point and then go into their last game with Russia, say, you know what, if we put our skin on the line right now and it costs us all three or all points against Belgium, now the most points we can get in our last match is 3, or they take the draw with Belgium and they go, okay, we'll take our draw and then we'll go take it to Russia, get our 3 points there, get 4, and 100% be good in advancing. Because at this point, Denmark, all they need to worry about is advancing. They're not going to win the group. It's just about surviving and advancing at this point.
So what do you think Denmark's approach will actually be then? If they decide to press, if they're like, look, we're going all in, and this is to say this, I guess 2 questions for you. One, if they decide to do that, are they especially vulnerable to the counter from Belgium?
Oh,
and
100%.
then, okay, so they know that.
Right.
does that incentivize them then to try to get a tie?
Yeah, so I guess this will kind of just put it out there. I'm going to be on the under 2.5. Okay. I'm doing another show about it tomorrow, but the under 2.5 in this game, it just, again, it speaks situationally to me because Belgium's weakness is their back line. And I think they're going to be guarding a little bit towards that. And then for Denmark, I don't necessarily think they're going to push numbers forward because I do think they're going to be in a situation where they'll take a point. Because, like I said, if they get caught out with Belgium's attack, they're going to be in a world of hurt. And then you lose all the points, and you might not even advance to the next round because you're now sitting there with no points, -2 at least in the goal differential, and it wouldn't even matter if you beat, Russia sitting there with 3 points and nothing on goal differential.
Okay. So you're describing a situational game state that makes total sense to me. And I think this is completely reasonable. And it spells a bunch of ways to attack this market. First half 0-0. First half 0-0. First half 0-0 is probably going to be a play I'll make. Belgium to first half draw, Belgium to win might be a fun one because this could set up where it's 0-0 at halftime, and then all of a sudden finally things break down. Belgium gets a goal at the 75th, 78th minute, something like that, and then Denmark's like, well, now it's too late. We got to push ahead, and maybe Belgium gets one more, late, something like that. So basically, like you could probably get a damn decent live over. About halfway through the second half, if it's still 0-0 and Belgium looks like they're building up some momentum at something like that. Yeah. Andy, do you have any? But under 2.5 also sounds like a good way to attack this. Andy,
this is not like a codified law, but if you bet the first half under in a match where the favorite's like 1.5 or low, like a decent favorite, if you're betting the first half under, you also should add the double result, draw, and then the favorite. I've done that a bunch.
I did this a lot in the World Cup.
Italy. It was like first half draw. Italy beats Turkey over the game was like 3-1. So if you're going to bet that first half under, maybe put a little tickle on that too, because it feels really good. Once it gets there, you're like, all right, now we're free rolling this stupid little prop bet I placed, and those are a ton of fun.
And if you see something watching the first half, you can come off it easy. You can get off that real easy.
For sure.
No, that makes total sense. Belgium 2-0 with 2 goals scored after the 70th minute. That's
start.
That seems like a reasonable, and everyone who laid the 1.5 goals with Belgium is just sweating through their shorts through the entire second half. Like, come on, guys, where's the offense?
When they don't have to produce any, I mean, it wouldn't even benefit them to. Yeah.
But that's a much more likely game state than Denmark comes whistle off. They get out, they run with their hair on fire coming off the bus. No. Right. Okay. That's perfect.
Yeah. There's so many. I mean, it's one of those where if we see one goal to begin the game, it can explode for 5, 6. And, at halftime, if it's 0-0, I think both teams are just going to be like, let's get to the next one because we have a much more favorable matchup.
Kind of like the Netherlands game.
Right.
Where we could have one goal in the first 10 minutes and then it could explode for 6 more because they have terrible defense.
Yep. Situation changes.
Yeah.
Yep.
What is your read on the Dutch? Well, what was your opinion on them coming in? Did you think they were legitimate contenders and easy win Group C, or were you a little wary and now kind of still not sold?
I think they're the best team in the group, but it's going to be a question of their back line all the time, and their manager, De Boer, he's just terrible with strategy and when to make a certain sub and everything else. It's hard to back a manager that doesn't really understand where his team's weaknesses are and play to that weakness. They have so much attack going forward that they don't need extra attackers out there yet. You saw the way they played against Ukraine. Just opened right back up for them when they had no incentive to, trying to get more. And they bring out Blind, and all of a sudden, bang, two goals for Ukraine, and now you're in a sweat fest. And thankfully for Dumfries, he was able to put one back because if they took 1 point away from that game, oh man, the Netherlands media would have been absolutely insane to see.
Okay,
I had Ukraine +1. Like I thought we had it, obviously it was way too early. I'm like, all right, 2-2. Let's get this over with. I was just glad to push on that. With the whole, and I know some people who definitely agree with this. It's like, if a guy can't hack it in the MLS, why is he an international manager at this point? There's some issues. I mean, A plus B equals C in that one for sure. And just some of the tactical difficulties. I feel like we're having the Budenholzer conversation across the pond here, Drew.
Yeah, but it does, doesn't it?
And that makes me think too. And it doesn't feel like a really big problem or a difference or a big factor, but having the extra. What was the old rule for how many subs you have, Kaleb? Was it just
three?
Old rule
Used to be three. Yeah,
old rule was 3, and because of situations with everything and how close the tournaments are with the season, they put in 5.
I mean, is there any? It seems like it isn't like a small thing, but it's not just by like, oh man, 5 subs. Like that's really good for Italy. But like there has to be some situations. I would think it probably benefits good managers who know what the hell they're doing. It would definitely benefit teams that have some depth or teams that have some young strikers that aren't starting. That hey, we can bring you in at the 75th minute if we need some extra offense. Definitely the good. It probably just rich get richer. Really, like the good teams have good depth and good managers.
Sure. Yeah, because, you can play around any situation now. At least with 3 subs, you kind of have to make decisions like, okay, well, if I use the sub here, then I'm limited to 2. If we grab the lead, and with 5, it just gives you that much more versatility.
Yeah, that makes sense. So how do we attack this Netherlands-Austria match? Because coming into this tournament, I didn't give Austria much of a look. I thought if there was anyone that was going to challenge the vulnerable Dutch, it was going to be the Ukraine. And then Austria played a fine match against North Macedonia. And now I'm looking at some of their results. Why didn't I give them more of a look? They lost they had a one stinker against Denmark, losing 4-0, but who the hell knows if that was, what the circumstances were. It could have been just a strange result there. Do you give Austria a legitimate chance in this Netherlands match? And how much should I have on both teams to score?
Yeah. I would think, honestly, I think that's the angle. I would stay clear of backing either back line because like we already said, Holland, the powers in the attack force, man. But their back line's just so bad. I'm interested to see what Austria is going to do with David Alaba, because against North Macedonia, I figured he'd be in the midfield or in somewhat of an attacking role. And they started him at center back, which was questionable. Austria looked pretty bad in the midfield, if I have to be honest. They were very sloppy. That's the only reason that North Macedonia even scored. The legend Pandev, by the way, like 43 years old. But then in the second half, you saw when Austria needed to get things going, David Alaba started to move up in an attacking role, plays a beautiful ball in, and it just everything flows. So, but in this game, I I would probably bank that they're going to put him at the center back role because they're going to need him more so for defending in this game than they did North Macedonia. But again, it's one of those situational bets where both teams really just don't need much from this game because both already took care of business. And once they stop seeing each other, they're in a more favorable matchup. And for Holland, obviously, they haven't even played North Macedonia yet. So, I mean, if they can take a draw in this game and then boost goal differential against North Macedonia, that may be the look for them instead of trying to push numbers forward and then just have a terrible day at the office with that back line.
Okay.
And was he a starter, Marco? And now let's pretend I don't really follow Austria's national team. I don't know, like the guy who's suspended.
Hypothetical.
Hypothetical. Was he even starting last game, or was he a sub? The guy who said the awful shit about Albanian people and then is going to miss a game. Marco, boy, Arnautovic.
Oh, Arnautovic.
Arnautovic.
No.
Marco,
not a huge piece.
He was a sub, but he scored.
He did. He came on and then scored instantaneously, pretty much. I mean, with a beautiful ball through. And then if you saw him at the end, he actually had some words to say, but they kind of cut away from that. But yeah, no, he did not start. Which again, it makes me question why in a game where you're probably not going to have to deal with much pace from the North Macedonian team or really much of an attacking threat at all, why you wouldn't have your best players pushing forward. I don't know. Austria is a very odd team. They're another team like Turkey, really, who have been labeled dark horses so many times it's hard to keep count, and then they just fall apart. So, if Austria can finally make it happen, I'd be shocked if it was this tournament, but, you never know.
Yeah, and I mean, Drew kind of nailed it. I had already looked ahead a little to tomorrow's matches because we got to like 10 minutes before match time this morning, and I didn't have a bet placed yet on the morning one. So I'm like, I better get a little ahead on tomorrow. But yeah, both teams, the score is about -125 in that Netherlands-Austria match. I think that's something I'm going to be looking at. And it's funny because the morning match is the Ukraine-North Macedonia. Yeah. Still have no idea what to do with that.
Yeah, where are you going with this North Macedonia-Ukraine look, Caleb?
I have the team total over 1.5 on that game.
For Ukraine?
Yes. No. Maybe not even 1.5 shots. But yeah, I mean, again, I think this is one where the Ukraine they see their opportunity. Their opportunity is going to be, hey, we need to score some goals. We need to get all 3 points and try to boost our goal differential to advance. Ukraine's definitely in that spot where North Macedonia is going to be kind of the bottom feeder where you're trying to just build up your goal differential on. So it would be hard for me to see North Macedonia keep Ukraine under 2 goals, to be honest.
And so the angle of attack then is team total over instead of laying the goals, because if they're being that aggressive, they could leak one.
Sure. Yeah, 100%. And I mean, we saw it against the Netherlands too. They did not change the way they played to suit their opponent. They weren't afraid to move numbers forward. They sat back when they had to, and it made more sense, but it's not like they just put numbers behind the ball the entire time. And they do have guys going forward that can give you, a lot of trouble with their pace. So, I definitely lean with the Ukraine team total over 1.5.
Okay.
And if they can get a draw out of Austria and Netherlands, and if they get there, you get your 3 points. Maybe you get lucky with the draw in Austria and Netherlands, and all of a sudden you're back in it too. I mean, maybe not win the group. It'll be a little tough. You could end up with 6 points still, but definitely to advance if you can get into that second spot, because their offense did look good for glimpses there, especially when Netherlands was doing that thing where they just let you run on you. And
always. And
I mean, a couple of nice goals there too by some of my Ukrainian people. I like their kits too a lot.
Oh, they're beautiful.
Oh man, Italy though. Italy in blue, and I'm a big again German fan. Love my team. The German black kits obviously are super scary. I like them a lot, but the Italy blues are the best. Honestly, Portugal, worst kits of the tournament or worst kits of all time?
Yeah, their kids are going.
Didn't
Their
like the
kids are going
stripes.
so far down. I don't understand. They used to have some really nice ones, and then now it's like this.
I know
ugly,
their
I don't
flag
know.
colors are
Stripes
so
were not-
cool
They
together.
have good
How do you
colors.
They
blow
do.
that?
They have great colors. I don't
The,
know.
the
They're
maroon tops and maroon shorts are so slick when they go that way.
Right.
What are you doing?
Yeah, I don't.
Why ruin? Why mess with greatness?
Yep. No, I agree. Just trying to do too much.
Yeah, it's like when the Steelers go with the throwbacks from the black and gold to just
God.
like the olive brown or
yeah.
whatever terrible bumblebee.
I love your
Broncos
team's.
too.
Yeah.
Oh, your team's throwback is like the Dallas Texans or whatever. What
Yeah.
is the Chiefs is like some other team.
Houston Texans.
Yes.
Houston,
No, it's
Dallas
the Dallas
Texans?
Texans.
No,
I
Dallas.
think.
Yeah,
Dallas,
yeah.
Texas,
It's
It's like
just
some
a
AFL
state,
team.
It's just the state of Texas on that. Yeah, it's beautiful combination. But yeah, those Pittsburgh and Denver Bronco throwbacks. No thanks.
Well, this is a good point by Dan too. Wales was dressed like Australia today.
They were.
I know it was a little.
Yeah.
It looked like the Ruse with the green and yellow.
Yeah,
Especially
had no
the
idea
green
where that
shorts.
comes from either. I mean, no, it's has nothing to do with their colors at all. Red, white, green, nothing. Just let's go with yellow. Okay.
If you have a dragon on your flag, throw a big badass
dragon.
on
Yes,
there.
That's
do a
yes.
dragon, yes.
Use your
White
best
shirts,
attributes.
green shorts, big dragon.
Big dragon.
Not hard.
Oh, I know. There's so many great ways you could go with
Yeah.
kits, but teams are just like, no, let's take a different color and just ruin it. So
Yeah. Oh, I like this one. This is a fun one. Is there a match, any match that has a chance to have a total over 5.5? I have one in mind. Let's see
Okay, shoot.
can you want to take a guess? I think there's one.
I think it's Saturday.
You think it's Saturday?
I think 6-0 France.
That was what I was going for. 6-0 France.
I mean,
Yes.
yeah,
Yes.
It's in
if
Budapest.
it is. If they
France
put the
can-
pedal down and they actually push for it, it could definitely get there, because I think what you saw with that Portugal game is, you had one side where Portugal just couldn't create anything. They put Silva on the same side as, gosh, I'm mind blanking here, but it just, one side was completely just not even part of the game, and they tried way too hard to go through the middle. France has the pace on the wings and Mbappe just to expose that. So
I got
that'd
tired
be a
watching
stretch, but
somebody try to defend him.
Real quick on Mbappe.
Exhausting.
Best player on earth right now. Is that even up for debate?
it would be tough to debate it at this point. Yeah,
Entering his prime.
It-
not even at his peak of his powers yet. But
Hard to
unless
say. He's just
how much of
fast.
his game is speed? Yeah, and how long does that last?
Hot.
Is he the Lamar
Exactly.
Jackson of international football?
He is good with his feet and his dribbling. The thing about Mbappe that he's done over his career is he used to be just pace, and now he's actually starting to learn how to dribble past guys, kind of go in, out, and weave his way through. But it used to be just going forward. When he was with Monaco, when he could pair with Falcao would play as kind of the holding striker, and then he would just run in behind. But Mbappe's definitely developed way more skill as a player, throughout his career. He's only going to get better too. That's what's scary.
That's cool. I like him for a hat trick against Hungary, and if there's a match that goes over 5.5 goals, that's the only one that I can
I think Griezmann is a good look. Griezmann, for whatever reason, he's never like a part of major scoring chances when he's with anybody else other than France. Obviously, he still scores his goals, but he's become more of like a setup guy. But with France, man, he just finds the back of the net. So I think I'm gonna play a little Antoine Griezmann prop. He looks really good.
I like that.
Yes.
And I wonder too, and this is
Goals
going to
for
be a
everyone.
good segue into the weekend matches, because there's some, we can't talk about every match, but there's some really
Sure.
good ones. And obviously Germany, Portugal this weekend, super important for the Germans. But if they just, I don't want to say they laid an egg, because they put some good pressure on. They had some good balls forward. It just didn't work out. But France only having one goal, you kind of wonder if they won't, especially with what Portugal's goal differential is now. If Germany plays a poor game against Portugal, loses like 2-0, France, it might behoove them to lay 4 or 5 goals on Hungary just to get that goal differential up there.
Yeah.
Because Portugal could be up, again, like a 2-0 win over Germany. All of a sudden, they're 5-0 in goal
the beauty is
differential.
the
with
France game
6
is
points.
first. The France game is first, so they're not going to know. They're going to be like,
Just
look,
do it anyway.
This is our only group match where we can truly expect to lay it on. We got to do it, guys.
France alt.
Let's do it. Yeah.
Let's hit them with the heavy stuff. I guess a couple other worthwhile matches to touch on here as we head into the weekend. England-Scotland is kind of a fun one, obviously, for regional purposes. Obviously, these two nations share an island. They comprise half of the United Kingdom. And no love lost, really, between England and Scotland, going back to the 800s or thereabouts, 900s. Yeah. It should be a fun match either way. Are we expecting a decent bounce back here from England, or is this still more figuring stuff out? And Scotland could be a more dangerous opponent than their round one loss let on.
Yeah, I think it depends on which lineup you see from England. I mean, I know that's kind of a cop-out answer, but I'm not touching it. I put in the only loss I've had this entire tournament was England's team total over 1.5.
Okay.
And just thinking, it was going to be a solid balanced lineup, and then the lineup comes out, and it is the most defensive thing I've ever seen. And I'm just like, okay, well, don't trust Southgate. So if they put out a good balanced lineup or an attacking lineup, they're so good going forward. And there are going to be questions about their back line come later in the tournament where is Harry Maguire fit, and he's really the only center back I really trust on that England defense. But yeah, I mean, I look for them to take care of business. This isn't Croatia anymore. You need to start piling on and take care of business. So I'd be a little bit surprised if Southgate went defensive in this one.
Go full Longshanks on their ass and just put Scotland in their place.
Exactly, man.
I had to think of who that was in that movie. But Dan making a comp to college football, which we've done this with horse racing now too. But he calls it England Scotland's like Ohio State versus Cincinnati. It's fun for a regional rivalry, but not. And everybody says this. Everybody wants us, and I guess I'm included in everybody. It wants us to have relegation over here, especially at least for like MLS and the leagues below it. Why don't they take some of our stuff? We could do some trading. Like they should have trophy games. Maybe they do. I don't know. England, Scotland. It might be like Wisconsin, Minnesota, where Wisconsin just wins the axe like 9 out of 10 years. But they should still have like a trophy game.
St. Andrews Goblet at stake here for England versus
the Crown Jewels or something fun.
Crown Jewels. There you go.
Yeah, and it's usually those smaller. That's usually those smaller teams that don't have a lot of success that have like the best atmospheres too, because the big guys coming in. Everybody's packing the stadium because for that one chance that there's an upset, the place is going to go insane. So yeah, I would love that idea, honestly.
So if I'm waiting until I see a lineup for England before I take any action on this one, what are some signs that Southgate is going to be more aggressive from a goal scoring standpoint in terms of decision making?
You're going to see probably no Kyle Walker, probably see Trippier, because Trippier and what Trent Alexander-Arnold brought to the team was he would be the guy who flanked up the sidelines and whip balls in, kind of act as another midfielder for them. So right off the bat, if you see Kyle Walker in, it's going to be more defensive. If you see a guy like Declan Rice in, more defensive. If you see a guy probably like Bellingham in, it's going to be more attacking. Really, I'm of the mindset that Southgate should always have guys like Foden, Mason Mount, and maybe like a combination of Phillips and Ward-Prowse in the midfield at all times. But definitely look for the wing backs, because if you got a guy like Saka in, he's a versatile guy who can play left back, left wing, or if Kyle Walker's out, Kyle Walker's always in for defensive purposes. Trippier is in to push more up the pitch like Trent Alexander-Arnold would.
Okay, I like this. Okay, perfect answer. I know what to look for now.
Sure. I mean, Germany, Portugal, I brought up, and I brought them up because we were talking about France, but I kind of wanted to get a little further into that game. Like, based off Germany's performance, it's one of those where I've had a couple of these today just because we got into the second match, and I said,
wait,
well,
hold on. Based off Germany's performance, how are you qualifying Germany?
No, and then that's where I'm going to get to it. That's what I'm saying. Like today, we had some matches between some teams that were playing their second game, and you kind of had to take your, I don't want to say preconceived notions, but that's what it is. Your priors, how you felt about them before the tournament. You had to mash it up with this first match, the context of the first match, what you think you saw, and then try to make a judgment off that. And I want to know where you stand. I think I know where I stand with Portugal. Like, sure. And again, it was obviously opponent dependent. Like, you beat up on some teams that are lesser than you. You need to take care of business, but how did you feel about Germany just based off like France might be the best team in the tournament, and obviously the odds think so too.
Germany won the XG, by the way.
Yeah, I was gonna say like Germany played. They played pretty good. It was just like, hey, I mean, it's like
scored on themselves.
It's two really good teams going up against each other. Yeah, it was 1-0.
Right. Yeah, you know what? It's kind of scary because I think Germany looked better than what I originally thought they would look like coming into the tournament. I think they played France really well, and the scoreline's a bit deceiving because, I mean, if you look at the expected goals on France, it was something like 0.26, which is, I mean, I don't have to tell you guys, really bad. And obviously you can't account for those 2 offside goals, but I almost wouldn't take that much into consideration either because Germany were already put into a terrible spot because of Hummels. Own goals happen, but now you have to chase the game a little bit, which played into France's hands, where the longer this game went 0-0, Germany was going to have more chances and more spots to kind of, break down France, because France wasn't sitting numbers behind the ball until they went up 1-0. And then at that point, France just decided, you know what, like, we're in Munich. We got 1-0. This is what we came for. If we can hold on to this lead, we're happy for it. So people on the under were 100% hoping France would score. And when they did, they locked it down. And all you're hoping for at the end of that is do not get caught on the counter by Kylian Mbappe. That's all you're hoping for. So I was actually pretty impressed with Germany. I'm a little bit more nervous coming from a guy who has France and Portugal group futures. But yeah, I wouldn't be too harsh on the Germans after this one game. That is the best team in this Euros tournament. They're the team with the most depth. I think they played pretty well, all things considered.
Okay,
there have been times in history where it's been okay to be harsh on the Germans. Yeah, this is not one of them. We'll take it easy on this.
Yeah. Right.
France. I would like your opinion on a prop though. Over under 1.5 disallowed goals for Timo Werner offsides.
Oh, over.
Okay.
Over
1.5. Okay. Over. Okay.
As long as he can hit the back of the net.
Okay. Good point. That's a good point. Okay. Well, I think going back to the well with an under for the Germany-Portugal match is probably the right call. I could see that ending in a 0-0, 0-1, 1-1 sort of territory. Although, boy, these under 2.5 in these games where you have two legit sides, that is, you want to sweat it out. That's a good way to sweat it out. You want to sweat out the toxins. That's a good way to sweat it out.
I mean, even with teams that don't have great attacks, like for instance, I took the Swiss team total under 0.5 today. I didn't watch the game at all. If I take an under, I'm not watching it because, especially in soccer, you could get one cheap handball. You could get one cheap knocked out, and then all of a sudden you look at the end of the game and it's like that was their only chance, and I lost.
One perfect dive in the box. Yeah,
betting is it's cruel, man. It is so cruel. There are bets where you could call it down to the T and lose, and then there are bets where you had no chance, it shouldn't have happened, and you win. It's just the way it goes. But yeah, it's one where I wouldn't want to watch if I had the under, because who watches a game to root for nothing to happen? But that's essentially
it's literally the worst.
It's terrible.
The first game, the first one off the bat, I did
that's
first
why
half under
on
in
gambling
Turkey.
Twitter bets on goals over.
Yeah, over 2.5. It's a lot more fun. It's a sweat. And truthfully, like today, you think about that. I know some people that had the under in the Finland match. You get 3, 4, 5 minutes in, like, oh, that's over. We're done.
Yeah.
Right.
Hoping for a half a push right now. and then, oh, we get saved. He was offside by, a few inches with his melon.
Yeah.
And then you make it another 45 minutes past that. You're 3 minutes deep into a 6-minute stoppage, and
the team with the worst team scored, which is the worst thing that could happen, and the team that is chasing points as opposed to Finland, who didn't have to. That would have been the worst case scenario for someone on the under.
Yeah, great point. Okay, couple real quick hit thoughts, and then I want to kind of construct what we think the bracket is going to look like given what we know so far. See if we can kind of pick apart what we think might have value in the futures market. Croatia, Czech Republic in the blind.
Croatia.
Okay. Good deal. Spain bounces back from what was the most deceptive scoreline 0-0 in round 1.
Yep.
Okay.
Yes. Yes. As long Moreno needs to start the next game. I'm just going to say that. No, forget Murata.
Poland is as bad as they look.
I wasn't high on Poland coming into this game.
Yeah, they're as bad as we thought. They are who we thought they were.
Yeah, it's Lewandowski and nobody else.
Okay.
No.
All right. Good deal. Very good.
One-man show.
One-man show. Sweden gets by Slovakia. Sets himself up for.
I think they do. I like Sweden's team. Isak is a great attacking option. They have a relatively physical midfield as well. I like Sweden, so I say yes.
Okay. And then I think that's it really for the round 2 matchups. Okay. Oh yeah. One other important question.
Okay.
Italy takes on Wales next in Group A.
Yep.
Wales comes to town boasting 4 points. So they're pretty much through, even if they get beat in this one. Right. Italy also guaranteed through with 2 wins.
Yeah, usually.
I have a big wager on Italy to win Group A. I wish I had put more on it, in fact, considering how likely the market says it is right now. Should I be worried at all that they don't take care of business against Wales and work themselves into a more favorable part of the bracket? There's no way that they play games like that, right? Not at home.
Teams just don't do that.
In Stadio Olimpico.
Right. I'm still not high on the Welsh team. I don't think they're that good. And if you had a team like, I thought the Swiss was going to provide the biggest obstacle for Italy in this group just because of their midfield. I wasn't necessarily high on their attack or the defense, but the midfield was strong. For Wales, I don't know. It feels like they've struck lightning in a bottle again, which is kind of crazy. And they went up against a team that wasn't that great on the back line and they put away their chances. They're not going to get those chances with Italy. I mean, one thing you can always bank on is the Italian defense is going to show up. Maybe their offense might not. They'll win an ugly 1-0 game here and there, but no, I don't think you should have anything to worry about because Italy would have to completely lose the game for that to happen.
So no insurance on my.
No, I mean even a draw is a draw.
Yeah,
they win with a draw, but
a draw is actually great. Right. I'm going to bet the draw in this match because it's going to be a decent number because Italy's so much better. Because let's say Switzerland eviscerates the Turks. The Turks are as bad as they've looked. Switzerland ends up with 4 points. Wales with a draw ends up with 5. And a draw is a nice way for both teams to easily advance. Let's get our subs in like 60 minutes. Let's la-di-da and bounce it around a little here. We could have a 0-0 board draw for all I care. Exactly. It probably benefits both teams. And I don't fully buy into we've done this before with. The Clippers did this hey, let's lose to Oklahoma City and Houston and try to game the bracket. Look at the bracket now; it's a disaster. The NBA is a disaster. I don't even want to talk about what happened today. So I don't think a team would really do that. And Italy sitting in such a catbird seat with 6 points ready. But yet you got me like I'm kind of torn here, but like I'm excited that I looked ahead to Sunday and I saw it was the 2 matches from the group. Like, oh Christ, we're already, Sunday is the 3rd match of group play already for the teams that started this out. It's bittersweet though. It's like, Christ, this is going to go too fast. So Italy, Wales, Switzerland, Turkey firing that off. And then Monday through Friday next week is going to be the rest of them settling them out. all at 11? Or I'm gonna have to check when these are
No,
at.
some
I
no,
love
no,
the
no,
scheduling.
no.
Some afternoons.
Yeah, there's some.
Oh, there's 4 matches
Yeah.
at the same time.
No,
they're
there's
staggered.
not. No, there's not. No. On Sunday, they're early. They're in the
2.
middle. Like, you know how there's 3 right on right now. On Sunday, they're both in the middle slot. On Monday, they're in the middle and the late. On Tuesday, they're both in the late, and then on Wednesday, they're in the middle and the late.
I can live with that.
So no early stuff.
Get one more TV
after Saturday. No more early stuff. Okay, I think we kind of have a pretty decent consensus on how this will go. Let me pull up the little bracket maker here and see if we can kind of agree on the way this will break down. Oops. I wanted it in.
Well, look at that. I forgot about our little bracket maker.
Man,
Shit in.
Look at this. So nice.
No, we had a lot of fun. We were before we
yeah.
even did any Euro stuff, we were building brackets on here. I did a few as I was trying to figure them out. So yeah, let's go Italy, Wales, Switzerland, Turkey.
No disagreement there. Okay.
Yeah, let's lock that in.
Yep.
Okay. Belgium, Russia, Finland, Denmark. I mean, Denmark is in a tough spot, right? Like, they are really playing.
They've only played once.
Yeah, but both Russia and Finland have a win.
Yeah.
Which means Denmark needs a win if they're going to climb out of the 4.
So I'm going to give the benefit of the doubt and say that Denmark can at least take 1 point away from Belgium.
Yep.
Granted, the situation we talked about where Belgium doesn't take too many chances. And then I think they
beat Russia.
Beat Russia.
Okay.
Yeah, I mean, they could lose.
Let's
obviously,
put them in the 2-hole. Then, I think 4
to
points gets them there, right?
Yes.
Russia.
Yeah, and then Russia.
Depending on what happens in the other ones, obviously.
Okay.
But I don't think Finland take anything against Belgium.
Okay. All right. Then we'll leave it that way. Dutch, Austria. Fair.
That looks right.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah. Netherlands, Austria, Ukraine, Macedonia. I like that.
Okay.
England.
Czech, Croatia, Scotland. Czech's going to have a nice goal differential, having gotten a 2-0. I mean, can Croatia beat Scotland by more than 2-0?
Can they? Yes. Do I think they will? No. I think 2. I think by 2 would probably be the ceiling if I'm.
Okay. Czech Republic didn't look bad, I didn't think.
Let's leave that as is.
Okay. Spain, Sweden, Slovakia, Poland.
I like that.
Okay. And then France, Portugal, Germany, Hungary.
I'm hoping.
All right. No, we got to pick our third place team.
This is key. So
under this huge.
Yeah. Under this scenario, Switzerland, they need a win against Turkey to get through. And I don't think they're going to get it personally. So we're going to throw Switzerland out.
Okay.
Russia, because Switzerland is such a bad travel spot. They got to go back from Italy back to Azerbaijan.
It's definitely one of those where it's like
those guys look dead anyway.
Turkey looked terrible, but it's jet lag. I mean, how much can you deal with, right?
Yeah.
Okay.
Bad spot. Russia will have. They're going to have 3 points. Are they going to get they're not going to get any additional points from their head-to-head with Denmark because we're putting Denmark through as a winner. So Russia's only going to have 3.
That's the thing too. It's so hard to predict because if something other than what we think happens in the Belgian game, then it switches up how these games.
Yeah, I know.
So, but I mean,
let's take Russia over Croatia.
Okay.
Yeah, I was going to say for fun, let's just take that. Yeah, that looks good.
Okay. Ukraine will have a win. Presumably over North Macedonia,
and
maybe a tie or a win against who's their last opponent again?
Austria,
yeah.
That'll be a good game.
Okay,
let's give them 4. Let's give them 3
we'll give them 4 points. Slovakia will have at least 1 win. May get a 2nd point against Sweden, but actually Slovakia's going to probably.
Slovakia might have 4 to 6 points.
They're going to end with 3. They're not getting more points against Sweden and Spain.
I'm giving it to them. I think
Sweden and Spain.
I think they can hang.
They're
going to
beat Sweden. Okay.
You could.
Well, then if that happens, we got to rearrange.
What if Spain?
Guys.
What if Spain just never? Scores?
Well, let's just
go with
what Andy thinks is going to happen, and let's see how crazy this can get. I'm all in.
Hit the next.
Okay,
right, it's going to make us a bracket now.
Cool.
All right. Okay. Not great, guys.
Belgium, Germany.
Not great for Belgium, guys. This is the top half here. All of the good teams.
This is let's shop scenario.
Scoot to the bottom and let's buy a futures on one of them.
Yeah. Okay. So if this works out, Germany ends up against Belgium in round 1. That's brutal. Belgium will advance them. Italy beats Austria. This will be.
That's the game I'm scared of.
This is our match of the tournament, though, because at this point, Italy could be just wildly overrated by the market. They're already the second choice to win the freaking title. already
being like
at
fifth, I
right
believe.
now. Yeah,
Yeah.
right.
Belgium gets healthy.
They're getting so much support. Belgium gets healthy and could potentially be underrated in this one. Italy's defense. I know Caleb likes Italy's defense. They always play defense, but those guys are old. They're old.
They
haven't
are
gotten a lot of rest this year.
And they haven't won
could be
against so far this tournament. They haven't won against a formidable attack.
We're putting Belgium through, even through those
Let's
two
do it.
very
Let's do it.
Hold up quick on Italy. The fellow who scored today with the hand, he touched it with his arm.
Yeah.
How old is he?
Chiellini?
Chiellini's 45?
52?
Dude, Chiellini's looked like he's been 52 for 20 years now.
I thought it was
Chiellini's looked the exact
like they let
same.
a coach play.
Oh, man. Yeah, they are old.
Okay, so one of our semifinalists will make Belgium. We're going to knock Italy out. As controversial,
I'm more worried about the Italians than I am the Germans in that scenario, though.
I think without question,
No.
much stronger side. France easily over Russia.
100%.
50-50 here. Who the hell knows?
I like Sweden personally,
but yeah, it's Sweden.
And again, France maybe if France can win group of death, then they pretty cleanly get to the semis. Like that's a really nice little path for them. This is hopeful for me that Spain wins this group because I have a big bet on them to win that group.
Sure.
What in the hell do we do here?
Ooh.
This is in London.
That's going to penalties.
That's the game. That's one of the matchups of the tournament. When I broke it down before anything started, I looked at that game and I went, man, this would be an amazing quarterfinal game. I mean,
what do you think if that goes to penalties? Is England's keeper good enough to get them through?
No.
Okay.
No, I trust Portugal's goalkeeping more. The injury at the goalkeeper position hurt England, I think, more than people think, especially considering that the defense has already been a question for England coming into this with their injuries. So I'm just hoping that it doesn't show up because I do like England as a team. But yeah, I would put Portugal through barely. Also,
if you are listening to this in podcast form later on, maybe fast forward or go watch the YouTube video. If you can make sense of this over the audio, good. But otherwise, if it would behoove you, I'm going to use that word twice in one podcast. Go watch the YouTube.
The third quarter final would potentially be Spain Portugal, an Iberian Peninsula clash.
Again, another trophy game.
Everyone leans Portugal. Another trophy game, exactly. The Iberian Ibex or whatever. The Scepter. Yeah, there you go. Portugal lean in this one.
I do.
On penalties again, 0-0 after extra time.
Yeah, I don't think
penalty for.
It's one where people are definitely going to go, oh man, the over Spain Portugal, but I think it's more of an under. Yeah, definitely.
Okay. Are we giving it to the Dutch? I guess we are.
I am, just because Slovakia is not that great.
Are the Danes going to come back from or was it their captain or one of the guys that
Christian Eriksen.
Dane's going to come back from that to make it to the quarterfinals?
Is he going to be cleared to play at all during the tournament, you think?
Wales close to home.
I
would be surprised if Eriksen played at all again.
It doesn't seem that likely. That was scary.
I don't know why.
Put Wales through.
I feel like Wales would. I think Denmark are the better team. But given how crazy this is, gosh, I don't know.
Denmark are the better team.
Yeah, they are. But
how do they lose to Finland? I guess it was the circumstances. It was the circumstances were bad. All right, Wales, Netherlands. Can we put the Wales Dragon again? And actually,
did you see the penalty kick today?
Wales, Portugal, the semis.
Yeah, looked like a nice field goal attempt.
Oh my god! He said he saw himself on the big screen or something. Apparently,
he's in his own head.
So him seeing himself on the big screen,
it screwed up his timing. Yeah,
got it.
I think Portugal Wales was a 2016 semifinal, and
it was.
Was that the only match Portugal won in regulation in all of Euro 2016?
Yep.
That I couldn't tell you because I can't remember right off the bat, but I remember how big that match was because
they didn't win many.
It was the matchup between Ronaldo and Bale and their whole drama between each other.
Yes, that's right.
It was. God, France, Portugal,
France. If it gets here, I think France.
Over Belgium. What is it about France that gives you an edge over Belgium?
Midfield.
They don't have any weakness.
Okay.
Yeah.
I actually like Belgium's midfield, depending on which lineup they bring out, and I think Belgium could give France a run for their money on the attacking end. It's just, man, the French. You have Varane, guys like Kimpembe. I mean, they're stacked, and I know for people watching, it makes no sense. Well, you took Belgian futures. The reason I did was because before we set this up, the way I predicted it was Belgium would go up against a team like Switzerland. I felt like they had the best path for the prices that were given. Anybody could come on here and tell you France, because they have the best depth, they have the most talent, like they have the least amount of weaknesses. But number one, that's not fun. Number two, it doesn't always go the way that you expect it to. So I think this game would be close. Belgium could pull it out, but more times than not, if these two teams played 100 games, France would win the majority of them.
Okay. What would you expect that line to be to advance? France minus 150-ish?
I think that would be fair. Yeah.
And Andy, what do you think?
Maybe a little higher.
Depending on
to advance. Wow.
Depending on how these teams look too, because we have to remember, I mean, take Italy, for example. People were, oh yeah, they could be a dark horse. They're fifth, and now they're second favorite off of beating Turkey and Switzerland at home. So how the market responds would to how these teams look down the road would have a huge impact.
Like
on
they win pretty comfortably against Russia and Sweden. Meanwhile, Belgium has to go to freaking war against Germany and Italy.
Italy, then France and Portugal. Like
Belgium single-handedly has to eliminate the Axis powers from the Euro 2020.
Yeah, let's just say I'm not hoping this is how it sets up.
Okay.
That's pretty funny.
This is a rematch of last time's final, right?
Good final.
And a rematch of this year's Group F finale.
Yep.
Any chance? I mean, I guess what would you expect in the Group F finale between these two teams? Let's assume that they're both comfortably 2 wins, or 2 wins with goal differentials in the 4 to 5 range.
Depends, because since it's the Group F games, I think we would have a pretty clear indication of what the field would look like. So you could have a position where Portugal, one of these teams, is like, would I rather, face what the tournament would look like before we know now or after? I mean, it's just going to depend on all these matchups. I think. I mean, whichever team can avoid England, they're going to try to do. I mean, I would take.
So France Portugal might actually be strongly competitive in the finale for Group F.
It could be, yeah. Oh, 100%, because I mean, it's all about positioning. So if France could get into that spot, yeah, they're going to go all out. And
is that match in Munich or Budapest?
The final?
No,
the Group F.
Oh, sure.
It's in. I think it's in
Germany.
I think it's in Germany too. Now that I couldn't tell you 100%. I don't know that right off the bat.
I think Munich has Germany has all 3 of theirs.
All 3 of theirs are at home,
which means Hungary goes to Germany, which means the third match.
Yeah,
must be Hungary,
I just
right?
pulled it up on Flash Score. It is Budapest.
Okay. Cool.
Okay, well that'll be fun. Jeez, that'll be a hell of a freaking perfect neutral site, full crowd. That'll be cool. All right, well, if you had to say so now, France wins match the Group F finale. Do they win the Euro 2020 finale?
Yeah.
Okay. Congratulations to the Blues.
Congratulations. You guys came here just to tell me for me to break down France winning.
Hey, the favorite wins.
Awesome.
Cool. Thanks a lot.
I mean, we did this in the Women's World Cup, and people were still pretty pumped at the end of that.
Oh, sure.
Hey, thanks for telling us the U.S. was going to win.
And it was
already in your heart, guys.
To see upsets, but at the end of the day, if I could sign up for a Portugal-France final, I would.
Okay.
Like 100%.
Give me that.
I guess here's the questions. We're kind of shaping the way that we think that fourth quarter is going to go with 4 pretty weak teams.
Sure.
And I kind of want to take some big prices for someone to come out of there, not the Netherlands. Netherlands to win. Netherlands to make the semifinals, by the way, is plus 225-ish. Not a great price, which considering that they have some weaknesses, and that they have to win Group C to even get into that quarter. If they don't win Group C, they are certainly not making the semifinals.
Right.
I guess Wales I caught at 8-1. and then I saw Denmark at plus 640-ish. Either of those worth a play? And I guess, are either of those going to come in much? Was really what I need to ask.
So
more than are they worth a play? Like, are they going to get shorter as we understand more and people kind of catch wind of how weak this fourth quarter is going to be? Or maybe Netherlands looks great against who are they? They maybe Netherlands looks great and wins 4-2 against who are they playing tomorrow?
Austria?
Austria.
Are you talking about Austria?
Yeah, maybe they win 4-2 against Austria and they beat the Northern Macedonia 7-0, and then maybe they're plus 100 to win that quarter.
Sure.
Yeah, I guess do you think that it is worth rushing to get some of these long shots now, or how do we attack the fourth quarter?
I think it depends on who you want to take. If I had to take, like, let's say a team like the Netherlands, I probably would wait. But if I had to take a team like Denmark, I would get it now when they've looked their absolute worst. Yeah. Losing to a team that, is making their first European major tournament and getting a win off of everything that's happened with, sadly, Eriksson and everything. And there's so much uncertainty behind what Denmark's look like. They lost to arguably the worst team of this entire tournament. So, and at home. So I don't think there is a lower than low for Denmark. So if we think that they are good enough to make the semis, which I think if they can get out of the group stages at this point, I think they're good enough. If it sets up the way that we kind of predicted, I think they're good enough to beat Holland. Again, I'm not as big on Holland as most people are. So I still think they are dark horse worthy. But yeah,
I got a fun finale surprise for you guys that I was building up to this whole time. Are you ready?
Okay, let's see it.
Let's pretend.
Are you betting the futures now, Drew?
Well, no, I'm trying to time this, and I needed some feedback to time it just right. Okay. Now let's pretend that Switzerland beats Turkey in the finale, and they go through among the third place teams. And let's say Germany loses again to Portugal. And they're now 0-2, and they are staring elimination in the face.
Okay.
What kind of price would we see for Germany to go through, or what kind of price would we see Germany to make the semifinals when all of a sudden, look who's in the fourth quarter?
Yep.
Sure enough.
And this is where I was going to go with it before you hit me with the surprise. I was going to say and to Caleb's point, and I 100% agree, there are some teams that you could strike on right now, buying low on some teams that you still believe in. But I think after we've played all the second matches, I'm going to sit down. I'm going to put together 3 or 4 different scenarios based on some probabilities, I think. And then I'm going to look for a couple teams that could accidentally find their way into the bottom that have a chance. And I'm going to grab a couple futures on those. So before we play the third matches, so right after it would be Saturday night when I'll be totally sober. I'm going to sit down and I'm going to look at this, and I'm going to pick some teams that could accidentally wiggle their way into the bottom half. And I think I'm probably going to add 2 or 3 futures. I'll tweet it out. You
know what's great? Germany is in Group F, which is the final day of group play.
Right.
And so this is not going to be a known until the bitter end of group play. So I don't think it is normally this is the time of the tournament where I would really start getting aggressive with the futures market, because I feel like beating the kind of known information of the knockout is pretty important to capture good pricing. Because once this is known, once people are looking at this, and they're going to go bet Germany at any price. Like the good prices are going to be long gone. Mm-hmm. But I would, I still think this would be a pretty fun. This would be my dream outcome, that Germany somehow backs their way into that fourth quarter. And then gets a nice little dance to the semifinals.
This is definitely more of the path that I saw happening pre-Euros. I saw Germany at the at the bottom, and then Switzerland up with Belgium, which is why I kind of took Belgium, because I like Belgium to beat Switzerland, and then Italy was always more of a lean toward Belgium for me personally. And anything can happen in the semis. Obviously, you're gonna have to beat somebody good sometime.
What kind of price to advance are you going to get on Belgium versus Italy? Just considering the current market, opinion of those teams.
So, personally, I would still give the slight edge to Belgium.
Plus money? You think we're going to get a plus money on Belgium?
On the current market? Oh, Italy.
Once we get to that
might
point.
be able to get plus money. It wouldn't be like big plus money by any means, but I think it'd be something like, I don't know, like plus 105, plus 110, something like that.
Okay. Very cool. Andy, any final thoughts here?
I'm jacked for Saturday night now.
I am too.
Because I'm gonna.
Oh yeah.
I'm gonna be. And anybody, if you haven't done this, if you've been watching and you want to play with this, it's just on like UEFA's website. This is not something we found, digging through the internet.
UEFA
it's like
tournament
right on the UEFA's, right on UEFA's website. They have
it's like
really
the NFL prediction machine that comes out every year on ESPN. I tinker with that so much. Just
are there
crazy
resources you've seen anywhere else online that I'm missing where you can do this not manually like I am doing it?
Honestly, I don't know. That's the exact
super hard.
It's
super hard to code. I sat down and went 30 minutes thinking how do I write a code for this, and I was like, I'll just
see. I'm not smart techie like that at least. So I 100% went on Google and went I put in Euro predictor and that popped up. So that's what I used.
Yeah. Okay. It's so much harder than the World Cup because
the group have if it is Germany. Yeah, they could be pretty much locked. This is what we're seeing with the Switzerland match is super important.
That's a great point, Dan.
Germany likely.
That's a great point. Yep.
Well, no.
Germany and Switzerland have a good relation. They're practically, honestly, it's the same country. When you cross into Switzerland,
Switzerland has done Germany a lot of solids. Why stop now?
True.
You don't even know you're in a different country. It looks the same. It's the same thing.
German there. Yeah,
they do speak German there.
Yeah,
in fact, it's the same damn money now, even.
Yep.
All right, France by million.
That was great.
Thanks, Kaleb.
That was great.
Hey,
fun stuff. No,
I'm
that was fun
not, man, but it looks that way.
I think we nailed this. I think we gave people plenty of actionable information to bet their way through the rest of this tournament. Hopefully, they are having as much fun watching it as we are. And we'll look out for where can people find the stuff that you're doing on a daily basis. If weekly or bi-weekly content for the Euros is not enough for you, if you have an insatiable appetite for betting matches and you want more than just an Andy tweet or quick hit on Brown Bag Bets, where can people find your detailed breakdowns of the Euro matches?
I love it. So I've started to do video content for Bet US right now. It's kind of whenever they need some help, I'm just helping them out right now doing some videos. So you can follow my Twitter, obviously, and I'll post videos when we put them out, and you guys can look at specific matches and more breakdown there for specific matches that you guys need.
Cool. Well, very cool. Where can people follow you on Twitter? You post all your stuff on Twitter too still, right?
Yeah, I mean, except for video purposes, obviously, to try to bring in as many views as you can. But
gotcha.
All my stuff will be on. Exactly. So, but all my plays will be on Twitter. If I post anything, it'll all be right there. Or if I go on video, if I'm not on video on that specific day and I like a play, I post. So you can follow me at Kaleb Gering 24, and I got all my posts there for free.
Cool. All right, man. Well, best of luck. I guess one surprise question for you.
Sure.
Chiefs 20-0 undefeated season. What are your thoughts?
First 20-0.
Not 20-0. Maybe we'll have it locked down by the last week there, and we rest Patty Mahomes. That's
what happened in the Super Bowl, man.
Offensive line.
What happened?
It was terrible. Terrible. The Bucs are so good. The Bucs had a great combination of fast DBs. They had already seen the Chiefs once that season, and so they already had a game plan of, hey, we're gonna start actually putting safeties over the top this time instead of just run man to man and let Tyreek burn you. I think he had 200-something yards in the first quarter. But yeah, the Bucs, they made adjustments, and their pass rush got to Patty Mahomes, and it was a wrap from there. I made credit to the Bucs, but I think it would be a much better game. And I'm not going off on a limb there when I say this, that it would be a much better game if we got the rematch, because the Chiefs' offensive line is night and day what it used to be.
Mahomes can finally beat Brady in the in playoffs.
Man, Tom Brady's going to be like 70 years old, dropping back in a wheelchair, throwing dots in the end zone to his son. It's crazy. The guy, hey, credit to the guy. He just wins.
All right. Well, good stuff. Best of luck. And that was a super fun podcast. Great job by you, Andy. I'm going to hit the music unless you have any closing thoughts.
No, I'm just, thanks again to Kaleb for coming on and talking soccer with us for a bit.
Of course, man. Anytime. As I enjoyed talking to you guys.
Another outstanding deep dive guest appearance from our friend.
Number 369.
Ooh, 69. Nice. Very.
Good work.
We did it.
I like some of these looks for round 2 tomorrow, man. I might go ham on some of these games. That Belgium game especially.
I may have already bet the both teams to score. I think that goes up.
I do too. I think that closes in the 150 range. I got it at like 125-ish.
Still not sure to do with this North Macedonia team. Not 100% sure. And they do have a kit where they use their flag. They have the best flag.
It's a good flag.
It's a good flag. Although, so I was looking at my wife cleaned up upstairs.